So I'm sure everybody heard of this woman, Marina Abramovic. Strange character, very
Yes.
sadistic, very
Satanic.
satanic, yes, and
Black magic.
more than just knowing about her recent things she's done, including spirit cooking, which is
Disgusting.
it's mixing sperm and breast milk and urine
Blood.
and blood and splashing it on some type of statue and cutting into your own finger deep and eating the pain and I don't know, just crazy stuff. And for some reason, like, she's very, very highly acclaimed. I can't for the life of me figure out why. I opened with this image because it's freaking disturbing. You know, you have this woman who's surrounded by people that are in the, let's just,
You know.
yeah, in the know, in the pedophile rings, more or less. And she's standing here with a, I guess you would call that a suit jacket. Clearly, she's not wearing anything underneath. And a boy that's at least half naked, and she's covering his eyes. And if that image isn't creepy, then I don't know what is. This is a 71-year-old woman who looks like she's in her 40s. Which right there just puts me in a weird thought process. Like, how did you do that? And you know, she really reminds me of that woman from Death Becomes Her, who gives them the potion that makes them forever young, more or less, until they blow a hole. You know, Goldie Hawn gets a hole blown through her from a shotgun, and Meryl Streep falls down a flight of steps, breaking her neck and her spine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she is that Isabella Rossellini character's portrayal. Gotta watch here because I don't have my safe search on, and there are images of her where she's naked. She does some really, really odd things, and like if you just look at this, I'm not. She's 71.
71. My
Yeah.
God. A
You
great
didn't even hear
grandmother.
me. And then you know, I don't know what she's doing here. It's kind of really weird. She's obsessed with pain and death and mortality, immortality. And it's kind of, you know, I understand that at a point, but then I don't. Like, the woman's creepy, let's just put it that way. So I wanted to learn a little more about this crazy woman. So I went to Wikipedia, you know, and obviously they're not one of the most credible places to look for information on anybody. But I did read about, you know, things about her. About her mother being highly strict. She had to be home at 10 p.m. even when she was 29 years old. And that, her mom used to beat her up because she thought she was showing off, and her mom was extremely like a clean freak. And I guess that Marina has like some severe post-traumatic stress issues and childhood issues that she carried throughout her life to today. And I don't know if she puts that out on other, you know, kids now. I know she doesn't have any kids. She's been married several times, as I've read. We'll read right here. She pioneered a new notion of identity by bringing in the participation of observers, focusing on confronting pain, blood, and physical limits of the body. Well, the physical limits really of the body is the fact that you will just die. That's when you're done. I noticed they didn't put like who she married in here because there were so many. But I want to go down to her her career, her art here. Very strange. So let's start 1973. First performance in Edinburgh in 1973, Abramovic explored elements of ritual and gesture. Now, we all know what ritual means. Making use of 20 knives and 2 tape recorders, the artist played the Russian game, just like Russian roulette, in which rhythmic knife jabs are aimed between the splayed fingers of one's hand. Each time she cut herself, she would pick up a new knife from the row of 20 she had set up and record the operation. After cutting herself 20 times, she replayed the tape, listened to the sounds, and tried to repeat the same movements, attempting to replicate the mistakes. Meaning she wanted to replicate where she cut herself again. Not to avoid the cuts, but to recut. Thus merging the past and present. She set out to explore the physical and mental limitations of the body, the pain and the sound of the stabbing, the double sounds from the history and the replication. With this piece, Abramovic began to consider the state of consciousness of the performer. This is quoting her, once you enter into the performance state, you can push your body to do things you absolutely never normally do. Yeah, I don't know about that. Rhythm 5. So this one was called Rhythm 10, Rhythm 5. I don't know. Okay, the following year. In this performance, Abramovic sought to re-evoke the energy of extreme bodily pain, using a large petroleum-drenched star, which the artist lit on fire at the start of the performance. Standing outside the star, Abramovic cut her nails or toenails in her hair.
Yeah.
When finished with each, she threw the clippings into the flames, creating a burst of light each time, burning the Communist 5-pointed star. Yeah, that's what it is. The Communist 5-pointed star. And it wouldn't have anything to do with, anything else, right? She represented a physical and mental purification, which also addressing the political transitions of her past. In the final act of purification, Abramovic leapt across the flames, propelling herself into the center of the star. Due to the light and smoke given off by the fire, the observing audience did not realize that, once inside the star, the artist had lost consciousness from a lack of oxygen. Some members of the audience realized what had occurred only when the flames came very near to her body and she remained inert. A doctor and several members of the audience intervened and extracted her, I guess that is that, from the star. Doesn't look like it. Alright, never mind. Abramovic later commented upon this experience. I was very angry because I understood there is a physical limit. Well, yeah. When you lose consciousness, you can't be present. You can't perform. Now this one gets nuts. Because I read this already. And when you guys hear this, you're going to see just how crazy this woman is. Rhythm 2. I don't know how she went from 10 to 5 to 2. But this is now 1974, the following year. Prompted by her loss of consciousness during Rhythm 5, Abramovic devised a 2-part Rhythm 2 to incorporate a state of unconsciousness in the performance. She performed the work at the Gallery of Contemporary Art in Zagreb. I don't know what that is. I don't know where that is. In 1974. In part 1, which had a duration of 50 minutes, she ingested a medication she describes as given to patients who suffer from catatonia. You know, when you go catatonic? To force them to change the position of their bodies. The medication caused her muscles to contract violently, and she lost complete control over her body while remaining aware of what was going on. After a 10-minute break, she took a second medication given to schizophrenic patients with violent behavior disorders to calm them down. The performance ended after 5 hours when the medication wore off. So this woman, in the name of art, took 2 medications, definitely not prescribed to her, but this is the 70s, you know, to replicate being catatonic and then to be calm, which she probably took, like, what is it, lithium back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably lithium.
Or Quaaludes.
Quaaludes, yeah. I mean, I'm sure she took them anyway. Alright, this is where I haven't been. Rhythm 4. I don't know where she gets these numbers. Okay. In this piece, Abramovic kneeled alone and naked in a room with a high-power industrial fan. She approached the fan slowly, attempting to breathe in as much air as possible to push the limits of her lungs. Soon after, she lost consciousness. She just sounds like a crazy person. This is not stuff normal people do. They're like, yeah, I'm going to be in a room with a fan. I'm going to breathe in as much air until I pass out. Ever since I passed out in the Satanic circle, the Satanic star that was on fire, which I threw my hair and toenails and nail clippings into, I needed to replicate that loss of consciousness during every art piece. Because crazy. That's it. There's no other reason. Rhythm 0. Okay. 1974. To test the limits of a relationship between performer and audience, Abramovic developed one of her most challenging and best-known performances. She assigned a passive role to herself, with the public being the force which would act on her. Abramovic placed on a table 72 objects that people were allowed to use, assign and form them in any way they choose. I think, yeah, I definitely heard about this one. They could do anything they wanted to her. Some of these were objects that could give pleasure, while others could be wielding to inflict pain or harm her. Among those were a rose, a feather, honey, a whip, olive oil, scissors, a scalpel, a gun, and a single bullet. For 6 hours, the artist allowed the audience members to manipulate her bodies and actions. This tested how vulnerable and aggressive the human subject could be while hidden from social consequences. By the end of the performance, her body was stripped, attacked, and devalued into an image that Abramovic described as Madonna, mother, and whore. Additionally, markings of aggression were apparent on the artist's body. There were cuts on her neck made by audience members, and her clothes were cut off her body. In her works, Abramovic affirms her identity through the perspective of others. However, more importantly, by changing the roles of each player, the identity and the nature of humanity at large is unraveled and showcased. By doing so, the individual experience morphs into a collective one and creates a powerful message. This type of representation also reflects key political issues such as BDSM, which I was going to say this is anyway, which complicates and questions the relationship between art versus sexuality and public discourse. Okay. Now we jump. We go from the 70s. Oh wait, hold on. This is great. I want to hear her hear what she described it later. What I learned was that if you leave it up to the audience, they can kill you. Well, genius! You had a gun and a bullet there. What do you think they could do? Like, if I leave this up to the audience, they could kill me. Who would have guessed such a thing could happen to me? She said, I felt very violated. They cut up my clothes, stuck rose thorns in my stomach. One person aimed the gun at my head and another took it away. It created an aggressive atmosphere. At exactly 6 hours as planned, I stood up and started walking towards the audience. Everyone ran away to escape the actual confrontation. I mean, what a weird thing. And what a weird thing people would do. Like, I don't know. If you had a table full of stuff and some ladies sitting there like, you can do anything you want to me, I'd be like, I'm going to tell you to go to a hospital before you get hurt by your own doings. You need therapy. I'm surprised she wasn't locked up. I mean, this is definitely stuff that people... I mean, this is the 70s, but if it was the 60s or 50s, really, if this was the 50s, she would have been put away, definitely. I don't see how any of this would have been able to happen. For them to even allow the majority of this stuff in the name of art. You know? This is not art. This is...
Perversion.
It's sadomasochist perversion. It's hurting yourself for thrill-seeking self. And I'm pretty sure that's against a lot of things. I mean, in this, it said that she was raised primarily by her grandmother, who took her to church and such like that. So I don't get how she got to this place. Okay, cleaning the mirror, 1995. Cleaning the mirror consisted of 5 monitors playing footage in which Marina scrubs a grimy human skeleton in her lap. It's a real one? Really? That's gross. She vigorously brushes different parts of the skeleton with soapy water. Each monitor is dedicated to one part of the skeleton: the head, the pelvis, the ribs, the hands, and the feet. Each video is filmed with its own sound, creating an overlap. As the skeleton becomes cleaner, Abramovic becomes covered in the grayish dirt that was once covering the skeleton. This 3-hour performance is filled with metaphors of the Tibetan death rites that prepare disciples to become one with their own mortality. The piece consists of 3-piece series: Cleaning the Mirror 1, Cleaning the Mirror 2, and 3. Spirit cooking! Oh, here we are! And guess what year it is? 1996. So how come just recently we found this out? We found this out 20 years after the fact? Because I haven't seen anything on YouTube or anybody speak about this prior to 2016. But this has been going on for 20 years? Gross. Okay, let's continue reading. Abramovic worked with Jacob Samuel. Let's remember that guy's name because he's part of this. To produce a cookbook of aphrodisiac recipes called Spirit Cooking in 1996. These recipes were meant to be... Sorry you guys had to hear a big motor going outside. This one jerk here loves to rev his stupid engine. Anyway, what is that? Evocative? I don't know that word real well. Evocative, I guess. Evocative instructions for actions or for thought. For example, one of the recipes calls for 1,300 grams of jealousy. I don't know how you measure jealousy. Like, hi, I have some jealousy. Well, we need 1,300 grams. How do I give this to you?
Yeah.
If you write it down a bunch of times, maybe it'll weigh 1,300 grams. Okay, I'll make a book of it.
I've only able to get 1,300 ounces.
Well, that's way more than 1,300 grams, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But still, how can you measure jealousy?
You can't. It's just this is ridiculous. What are these teenagers making a book? Well, another says and here it is, mix fresh breast milk with fresh sperm milk. I didn't know sperm was called sperm milk.
Yeah.
Fresh sperm milk? How do you milk a sperm? I'm just curious. That just sounds disgusting. Okay. The work was inspired by the popular belief that ghosts feed off intangible things like light, sound, and emotion. Well, I know entities feed off of these things. I wouldn't exactly call them ghosts. I'd call them demonic forces or, unclean beings, spirits. Okay, in 97, Abramovic created a multimedia spirit cooking installation. This was originally installed at the Serenithia. Okay, this is in Italian, and I can't read it. So, in Rome, Italy, and I'm Italian, and I can't read it. And included white gallery walls with enigmatically violent recipe instructions. That's just what a phrase. This is hey guys, would you like to see this enigmatically violent recipe of instructions? Painted in pig's blood. According to Alexa Gothard, I guess that's that.
Alexa's sister.
The work is a comment on humanity's reliance on ritual to organize and legitimize our lives and contain our bodies. What? I gotta think about that. A comment on humanity's reliance on ritual to organize and legitimize our lives and contain our bodies. I guess there's something to that, and I want to kind of know. I want to dig a little deeper. I know there's a little citation here. No, okay. The story behind Marina Abramovic performance that contributed to Pizzagate.
Whoa.
Retrieved December 23rd, 2016. See? Okay, 2016. I was right. They've been doing this for 20 years, and it hasn't been even spotlighted until 2 years ago. Okay. Okay, see, that was really long, and I didn't want to read all this, so I'm sorry. I was just skimming this for you guys just to see if there was anything of note.
Very informative.
I see, and spoke of themselves as parts of a two-headed body. They dress and behave like twins, and I guess this is with their one ex-husband. Actually, I know that they didn't last, obviously. I don't think any of her relationships could or would have. Being hermaphroditic. Okay, in relation in space, 1976. I don't know why we're going backwards here. They ran into each other repeatedly for an hour, mixing male and female energies into the third component called that self. Relationship and movement had the pair drive their car inside of a museum for 365 laps. A black liquid oozed from the car, formed a kind of sculpture. Each lap represented a year. 365 laps. The idea was that they entered the new millennium. No. And why would those be years? Wouldn't those be days? No. In relation to time, 1977, they sat back to back, tied together by their ponytails for 16 hours. It sounds like stuff that John and Yoko Ono did. It's my new favorite word. That's what they did. Like, really, it's like just silly nonsense. That's what it is. Like, hey, let's sit back to back for 16 hours with our hair tied together. How about that? Like, that's gonna be comfortable. How do they pee? Where do you go? How do you? I know you don't need to eat or drink anything for 16 hours, but you gotta pee.
Yeah.
If you're holding your pee for 16 hours, oh wait, no wait, never mind. Okay, they then allowed the public to enter the room to see if they could use their energy of the public to push their limits even further. I don't even know what that means. Yeah. Okay, I was going to say, even just reading this, I knew how that was going to end. To create breathing in, breathing out, the two artists devised a piece in which they connected their mouths and took each other's exhaled breaths until they had used up all of the available oxygen. 17 minutes after the beginning of the performance, they both fell to the floor unconscious. Their lungs had filled up with carbon dioxide, which is supposed to happen because if you breathe out carbon dioxide, and then the other person breathes that in and then breathes it back out, you are going to pass out. I can't believe they even lasted 17 minutes, really. Especially with all the crap she done to herself. I can't believe she even made it to 71! Oh my god, after everything she's done, it's crazy.
Yeah.
This personal piece explored the idea of an individual's ability to absorb the life of another person, exchanging it and destroying it. No, it does not do that. this personal piece explored the idea of individuals' ability to absorb nothing. You successfully knocked each other unconscious by breathing into each other's mouths, and that's it. I don't even know what that is. Two performers, both completely nude, stand in a doorway. The public must squeeze between them in order to pass, and in doing so, choose which one of them to face. This is nuts. In 1978, the two artists stood opposing each other and made long sounds with their mouths open. They gradually moved closer and closer until they were eventually yelling directly in each other's mouths. This piece demonstrated their interest in endurance and duration. It just sounds like, I mean, come on. This is stuff like, I don't know. I don't even know, like, I wouldn't even call this stuff teenagers would do. I just think that she had a lot of time on her hands. I mean, I wish I had this much time to just... And people paid to go in and see this stupid stuff. Like, hey, you want to go watch Marina's new show? Yeah, what's she doing tonight? Her and her ex-husband are going to stand across from each other, scream in each other's faces until they get close enough to each other and just do that. Like, nah, I'm sorry, pass. I mean, I don't want to hear people screaming at each other. I don't want to walk past people naked in a doorway. I don't want to pay to do these things. And I can't believe people did. This is ridiculous. This is art. This is your art. Ugh. In 1980, they performed Rest Energy in an art exhibition in Dublin, where both balanced each other on opposite sides of a drawn bow and arrow, with the arrow pointed at Abramovic's heart. Oh, okay. Between 1981 and 1987, the pair performed Night Sea Crossing in 22 performances. They sat silently across from each other in chairs for 7 hours a day. So, let me get this straight. For 6 years, these two people did a performance that they named. They gave it a name. Night Sea Crossing. And they did 22 performances in these 6 years. And what they did during this performance is that they sat silently across from each other in chairs for 7 hours a day. I did that at work! I did that at work with people I worked with. I sat silently across from other people for 8 hours a day. Nobody paid to see us do that. Like, really? People came in there to watch two people sitting there silently for 7 hours? Like, come on, guys. So, I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. She's a ridiculous, ridiculous woman. Standing there with goat heads and painting people with gold. I mean, that's actually, she's doing something there. The stuff that I'm reading is just nuts. It's just bullcrap. Okay. Let me just go... So some stuff. Beginning November 9th, 2005, Abramovic presented 7 easy pieces at the in New York on 7 consecutive nights for 7 hours. She recreated the works of 5 artists first performed in the 60s and 70s. In addition, reperforming her own Lips of Thomas and introducing new performances on the last night. And there's just more crazy stuff if you guys want to look up this stuff. It's just nutty. I like how they finally have pictures for the things that seem so bland. It's like, yes, we're sitting across from each other. Yes, look, it's funny, she gets awards for this stuff. Like, I got a Peabody Award for doing crazy stuff that doesn't make any sense. Isn't that great? And, you know, this is why people get... Look! It's finally here! Sorry, Abramovic, I just want to read this last paragraph and then I'll go. Abramovich sparked controversy in August 2016 when passages from her early draft of her memoir were released, in which, based on notes from her 1979 initial encounter with Australian Aborigines, she compared them to dinosaurs and commented that they have big torsos. Just one bad result of their encounter with Western civilization is a high-sugar diet that bloats their bodies and stick-like legs. She responded to the controversy on Facebook, saying she had the greatest respect for the Aborigine people to whom she owed everything. I've been reading a lot. Abramovich emails were mentioned in Wikileaks, which she claimed to be taken out of context. Now that right there, she's in Wikileaks. And that's how this happened, to get out all this stuff. The whole spirit cooking thing, and people looking it up within, I highly recommend to anybody that if you have the time, or if WikiLeaks is still even operational, going into those files and typing in anything that you want to know, because it might come up. I mean, I typed in some stuff and I was pretty shocked. I mean, I found out that Israel essentially protects the United States, hence why the United States has to do what Israel says. And we have to fight their wars for them, because we are their cannon fodder. And this being Memorial Day, but couldn't think of another day to say something like that on a set. We're fighting wars for another country all the time, and we use our people, are good people who don't know any better and think that they're fighting for their own country that isn't even the greatest. The military industrial complex, the amount of money poured into that, and the fact that people have an issue with the trickle down. If God forbid somebody needed money or whatnot, and they're like, who's going to foot the bill? The taxpayers? What do you think you're footing a bill for right now? You're paying for the military-industrial complex that bleeds the most money than any other branch or, of the government. The Black Ops, the Special Ops alone takes billions of dollars in wars that we are fighting covertly in like many countries, not just like one or two, but we are doing it. We are doing drills, not just on our own soil, but on other soil. We do these fake drills and then we make them live. And if you want, guys, if you really want, oh wait, that's the debunking of here we go. I'm going to put this in the description, because this is from 2015, but this is about our special ops military and how they're, see right here, it says practicing night raids or sometimes conducting them for real, engaging in sniper training, or sometimes actually gunning down enemies from afar. So as you see, we are doing false flags in 80 to 90 nations. So would it be so crazy if we're doing them here? I don't think so, especially after reading that. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a rundown of Marina Abramovic, her life, and the weird art things she did prior to anything you knew about spirit cooking, which has been the main focus. I don't know if you guys want me to do a video on the special ops thing, or you just want to read this article for yourself. It's up to you. And I hope that you have a good day, guys. And thanks again.